on computer. That's Hi everybody, Ali Grateful Alcoholic. I just before we begin, thank you so much, Mickey and the entire team and all of you guys. I appreciate you very much. This has been such a beautiful team. It seems to be, the experience seems to be that when the Spirit puts something in your heart, just God makes sure that there's a bunch of other seekers that have it in their hearts too. And these committees and these groups and these teams seems to just form organically. No one was ever voted in or voted out, just organically, and we all give from our hearts, from our time, from a place of love, you know. So I just appreciate this team so much. Kuna sends his love. He's not able to make it today, and next week he's going to Western Canada for a little vacation with the family. And Frank and Kristen, I want to thank you guys so much for everything you've done. They won't be here next week because they're on a roundup that they're committed to. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys. If we won't get to say goodbye next week, so maybe we will today at the end. Let me see, recordings. So as always with the record, so when we started this thing, the plan was not to release or release way down the road, and then it had just so happened we couldn't cover what we wanted to in the 12 weeks. So then, fairness to everybody, we're going to release immediately after the last session, which is the 14th week, 15th week, next week. We're going to release everything, all the recordings to everybody, for anything that you missed, and for others that perhaps weren't able to be here. What else do we want to talk about? Can we just have someone say the set-aside prayer now, and then we can talk? Pete, would you come on up, brother, please?
Yes, I'm an alcoholic. My name is Pete. The set-aside prayer. Dear God, please set aside everything I think I know about myself, this book, my disease, these steps, and especially about you, dear God, so that I might have an open mind and a new experience with all these things. Please help me see the truth. Amen.
Oh man, thank you very much. Beautiful. Okay, so a couple of things just to address. One is apparently some friends have been asking some team members about this workshop continuing to go and cover what we've missed, the preface and the forwards, and parts of there's a solution, parts of the agnostics, most of more about alcoholism, right? And then Vision for You, the 3 chapters of to the employers, and those 2 other chapters, Family Afterwards, and to the wives, Vision for You, and the Dr. Bob's Nightmare. So that's the question. The answer is I got to sit with it and pray and let you know. Just want to say this though. So by the end of next week, we're going to cover this chapter 7. We're going to finish it. So we will have covered everything that anyone ever needs to take a new person to get them to step 12, right? And then we've also given you all the directions, what to do after that, come to the preface and just cover everything. So those chapters, anyone can easily read with their responses and highlight what jumps out at you, and you know what I mean? But please let me sit with it, pray about it. It's just because of timetables and everything that's on the plate, it's going to be really difficult to continue that at this time, maybe sometime in the future, but I'll sit with it and pray about it, that's for sure. Alcoholics Anonymous has given me a life filled with a deep sense of meaning and purpose. I never knew. It's like it gifted me. The Spirit gifted me through this program and through you guys something that I never knew that I was missing. You know what I mean? I never knew that I wanted it so bad. I didn't know. I didn't know what really love was. I didn't know what being considerate of others really was. I had no idea. I had no idea what faith was, what gratitude was. I associated all of those things with feelings and what my brain told me, which is not the case, right? All those things are action. You guys have introduced me to a program of action for a continuous awakening and for infinite possibility of spiritual growth. Now, I'm going to say something that may require some friends to set aside their belief system just for a period of time. Doesn't mean it's wrong, right? And see, for me, the truth was in the past, with the big book, you know, trying my best first few years, the truth was that the steps I want to keep growing spiritually. I want to grow spiritually. So I'm going to keep going through the steps. I'm going to keep going through the steps. I'm going to keep going. You're doing the big book this way. I've already done the big book, but I want to do it your way because I want to grow spiritually. You're doing it this way. Can you take me through the big book? Because I want to grow spiritually. Right? That was my truth until it stopped becoming my truth. Until the Spirit sent me a few messengers that had experienced a different truth. And you also have taught me contempt prior to investigation will keep me in everlasting ignorance. So I set aside everything that I think I know because I wanted whatever it is I saw in them. So I follow what they said, right? So what I have learned now, the last few years, what's become my truth is that the first 11 steps don't create spiritual growth. What creates spiritual growth for me is work and self-sacrifice for others. The first 11 steps create an awakening, provide an awakening for me to be efficient and effective in work and self-sacrifice for other people in the 12 steps, right? Now, page 14 alludes to that. We're not going to highlight that. You don't have to go there. It's in Bill's story. At the bottom of it, it says, particularly it was imperative when Eddie meets Bill and he has his awakening, right? Particularly, it was imperative to work with others as he had done for me. Faith without works is dead, he said. And how appallingly true for the alcoholic. Here we go. For if an alcoholic failed to perfect and enlarge, grow his spiritual life through work and self-sacrifice for others, he could not survive the trials and low spots ahead. He was studied, right? The only way from personal experience that I have grown spiritually is through work and self-sacrifice for others.
Allie, we're having a hard time hearing you. You're freezing up.
Well, thank you for letting me know. Is it better now?
I've turned off his video when he catches.
How is it now? Am I back? Yeah, we're good. Sorry, guys. Okay, let me just see. Okay, good. Am I still host? Okay, perfect. I got kicked out. Okay, so you know what, Mickey, I'm going to host you in case something happens. Oh, Frank, I'm going to host you. Frank, you're sticking around after, brother. Are you today or no? Yeah?
Oh, I'm
okay.
good today.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to host you. I'm going to host you here. So in case something happens to me, the entire meeting doesn't shut down. For some reason, I can't host you. Okay. Let me see. Sorry, 1 second, guys. There we go. Frank, more, make host. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
And Frank, can you co-host me now, please?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. So I guess you guys missed the whole thing, eh? All right. Can somebody tell me what was the last thing you got clearly heard? Potentially?
Page 4. You were on page 14, and Ebby's saying that appallingly true.
Okay, perfect, beautiful. Okay, so page 14. When Abby says, so Bill's talking about when Abby came and met him, and then he woke up, right? He finally did whatever the version of the steps in the hospital bed in a few days, and he just woke up, right? And Abby says to him, my friend, Bill says, my friend had emphasized the absolute necessity of demonstrating these principles in my affairs. What is that? 12th step, right? Second half of it. Particularly, it was imperative to work with others as he has worked with me. 12th step, first half of it. Faith without works was dead, he said. And how appallingly true for the alcoholic. For if an alcoholic failed to perfect and enlarge his spiritual life, grow spiritual life, didn't say through the first, continuously through writing inventories, continuously pray, meditating, that's all you do, that's all you do, that's all you do. It says through work and self-sacrifice for others. He could not survive the trials and low spots ahead if he did not work. He would surely drink again, and if he drank, he would die. Then faith without works is that was so with us. Okay, so my truth in the last few years, from my own experience, has been spiritual growth doesn't come from the first 11 steps. Spiritual awakening comes from the first 11 steps. Spiritual growth comes from the 12th step. And the 12th step says, having had a spiritual awakening implies as a result of these steps, the first 11 steps, right? We tried to pass this message on to alcoholics and practice principles in our affairs. So now this chapter, we're talking about passing message on to other alcoholics, right? And it doesn't say that I have to be successful, have 50, 20, 10 spouses. They have to be sober. There's none of that, right? It says we tried. So the last few years, the best of my ability, what I have done is I have just tried to pass this message on, to talk about AA, to talk about God when warranted, with tact and common sense, to open the big book with somebody. I have grown spiritually as a result of trying the 12th step, passing this message on. Now, I am a believer also, and it's been my experience that this illness is so cunning and baffling and strong, the darkness inside of me, sometimes, I can't just try to live in 10, 11, and 12. It's been my experience that I need to revisit the first 9 proposals every so often, as I am moved once a year, once every 2 years, right? So the first 11 steps, they create a continuous awakening. I can be more awake and more awake and more awake. Why? To fulfill my purpose in life. As per the 3rd step decision, and 3rd step, the deal I made with God. God, you take care of the details of my life. I'm going to stay close to you and help your other kids. In the 12th step. In the 12th step, right? So for those friends that may be in that space that they think they just got to keep going through the big book with somebody when you already have, this is my experience. You may want to just sit with it. Your spiritual growth will not come from continuous work in the first 11 steps, which is needed, which is what I do. It comes from the 12th step. So it's like, I don't know, I was meditating before this. I was like asking for an analogy to come. I don't know, this isn't even, I think it's silly. Hopefully a better one will come. It's as if like, my life is like this, okay? I have a condition that puts me to sleep constantly. I'm talking about figuratively now. I don't suffer from narcolepsy. It's figuratively. So I fall asleep spiritually. I think I see things I don't. My brain lies to me all the time. I take things personally. I'm judgmental. I'm self-righteous. I'm cruel at times. I'm egocentric, self-centered sometimes. But I fall asleep spiritually. I think this life is about me and feeling good. What's in it for me? Constantly, right? The first 11 steps as a way of life, continuously, what they do is they keep keeping me awake, keeping me awake, keeping me awake on a deeper level, on a deeper level, on a deeper level, okay? But I have to, it's for a purpose though. If I forget that this gift that's been given to me by Spirit as this beautiful path to continuously stay awake, if I forget there's a purpose for this, for me to help his kids, then I start to choke on it. Then I start to become really rigid in this program. Then I start to think you're doing it wrong. Then I need to make sure to tell everybody every single time when no one's asked me exactly how long I meditate in the morning so you can hold me up on a pedestal. Then I have a tough time in Alcoholics Anonymous because I think I'm the only big booker, and you guys didn't know anything until Ali got sober, and I got to teach you. We all know a few friends like that. Mirror to me, how I was not, a few years ago, right? I hope this comes across. This is like so huge. This is so huge. If I know my purpose and intention, I continuously work this first 11 steps to the best of my ability as a way of life. So I can stay awake, so I can see the guidance, how I can best serve your kids, other alcoholics, and practice principles in my affairs. That's why the last few years, my experience in this beautiful life has been one of a deep sense of meaning and purpose. When I have purpose in my life, I can bear anything. I can bear absolutely anything, man. See the people around the world, eh? I'm not going to get political, but there's people dying all around the world. Some of them have faith and purpose, man. Bombings and killings, faith and purpose, man. poverty. But if I don't have purpose in my life, nothing is bearable. Absolutely nothing is bearable. The gift of this program is the 12th step. So coming back what we addressed at the beginning, for those friends, and I will sit with them, pray with it, for those friends that may have the belief system that you is a need, like you would just benefit so much from it. If this workshop would continue, we would cover everything that we missed, the preface and stuff. I'd like to ask you to consider something else. That your growth and your juicy experience will come from you trying to pass this right now on, or any other method, just the 12 step, right? Whatever. If this doesn't work for you, no problem. Thank you for being here for 14 weeks. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. I hope that came across. That was like that's like a gem, man. That's like effectiveness. That's like, I hope, man, that's like with a good motive. I felt like I didn't even know. It's like I was swimming upstream in Alcoholics Anonymous. And then God presented a couple of teachers and no. Spiritual growth, 12 step. You want to grow? Pass it on. You don't need to go to the big book anymore. You pass it on. At the same time, obviously, I have to continue to work the first 11 steps in my life to the best of my ability, because I got to be a clear channel. I will not pass on what I don't have either. I only transmit what I have in that moment. And God doesn't make too hard turns for a broken soul like me. It's all good, man. Beautiful. All right, okay. So let's get into the book. That was a long preamble. Page 89. So today, in the spirit of just laser-like passing it on, what we're going to do, we're not going to, as always, we're not going to unpack everything. You know, with protege, prospect, sponsee, you guys can share on whatever you move to. We're just going to highlight certain themes. We're going to move pretty quickly. And hopefully this week and next week we'll finish. And hopefully I really want to have some sharing from people that up to now have been using what we've been doing and then what's been happening in your lives. And I would love to hear stuff like that. Okay, ready? So page 89, at the top margin, top left, please write step 12, highlight it in yellow, put a colon next to it, right to the right of step 12, and please write carrying this message to other alcoholics. So this chapter is the first half of the 12th step. Carrying this message to other alcoholics. I'm not going to, semantics. Some people say 3 parts, 2 parts is just what I believe. I believe the first part is a condition. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps is a condition, nothing to do with the 12th step. And then the 12th step starts. We try to pass this message on to other alcoholics. First part, practice principles in our affairs. Second part, but again, we all know it's one movement, man. We can't really separate parts in anything. It's all movement, right? Okay. So carrying this message to other alcoholics, chapter 7, working with others. Practical, grab the yellow highlighter, please. Highlighting yellow important. Practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. It works when other activities fail. This is our 12th suggestion. Carry this message to other alcoholics. That's in yellow. And then grab your pen. We're going to circle some stuff that we've already highlighted. By the way, I'm actually amazed and humbled and so grateful that at 14 weeks and 2 weeks after what we said we're going to do, we're still 180 friends are still coming and showing up. I'm just so humbled and thank you. It's just amazing. Okay, so if you grab the pen, please. Second line, it says immunity. You've highlighted in yellow. Circle immunity, please. We're going to come back and talk about it just briefly. In the third line that you highlighted on the left, it says intensive work. Circle intensive work. One circle, please. Immunity circle, intensive work circle. The line below that to the right, it says 12th suggestion. Circle 12th suggestion. 12th suggestion. The last line that we highlighted, circle this message. We want to make those stand out. Okay, so practical experience shows that nothing will ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. That means, it says when it works when other activities fails. That means everything I do, everything else that I do in my life, let's just say in Alcoholics Anonymous, continuously working the other steps and going to a lot of meetings and all the stuff that are needed for me, needed in this path. If I don't use those to try to propel me and pray for intensive work with other alcoholics, I do not have immunity from drinking. That's what that means, immunity. You know, like there's a disease and then there's a vaccine, you get immune. Okay, I don't want to say vaccine, controversial, but you know what I mean. Like you get immunity from an illness through being vaccinated, right? Immunity. My immunity is trying to pass this message down to other alcoholics. Other activities will fail me. They will fail me. I know friends like that. I've experienced it like this. I know long-term sobriety friends like that. From their experience, they share with me, and I watch them, and they share with me, and I've experienced a little bit too in my shorter time in sobriety. Either we end up drinking and dying, or we end up destroying everything worthwhile in life sober and thinking about or attempting suicide. There is no other way. It seems like. So nothing ensures immunity from drinking, like intensive work with alcoholics. Now, intensive work, you may say, do I have to be sponsoring 10 people? All no. I pray and I make myself available. God, if you see fit, can you please put a new man in my path for me to show him these 12 steps? Any kind of prayer in the mornings, every morning. I don't anymore. My plate is full now, but I used to. Right? And then I make myself available. So what is intensive work? That intensive work, the assignment's up to God. The details of the assignment is up to God. It's not up to me to play God. Intensive work, maybe he puts a couple of newcomers in my path, wet and dry all the time. My intensive work is driving them from detox to detox to detox to meetings, and while in the car, talking about this message with tact and common sense. My intensive work may be to go buy groceries for somebody who doesn't have it in AA that's dying, and while getting groceries, talking about this program with tact and common sense. It may be sponsoring people through the big book. It may be so many things. Now, obviously, the desire, the goal is to eventually, hopefully, if God sees fit, to have a sponsee to actually take them through the 12 steps, right? But I can't judge God's work on that. I just need to pray and make myself available. So I said that, by the way, because I used to, in my prejudiced, closed-minded thinking a while ago, I used to think that, no, you don't have 5 sponsees every day, then you're not doing intensive work. That's my judgment. That was my arrogance. I was blocked out from God. It was about me and my ideas. You know, you've made me better. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. This is our 12th suggestion. Suggestion, right? Suggestion. Now, look, I'm spending way too much time on this, more than I intended to or want to, or even I do with the newcomer. So the spiritual, the spirit of the word suggestion, not the literal word of the suggestion. The spirit of the word suggestion, right? So we all know suggestions, if someone's a real alcoholic, right? Suggestion as in, like, you know, we hear the jokes all the time, and I suggest if you're going to jump off the airplane, suggest pull the parachute, suggestion. We all know that, right? But however, there's some truth, there's a lot of truth to that. Suggestion, as in the way I present it, do or die, no, suggestion. Attraction, not promotion. You're doing it wrong, no, suggestion. The person's got to be ready. I can't ruin a later opportunity by being like that, and I've done that in the past. Suggestion, right? Okay, so carry this message to other alcoholics. Remember, I think it was last week we were saying this program, the reason it works for us, and it seems to be that as a whole, on the aggregate, religions and other spiritual paths don't work for us, really as a whole, right? Is because the first half of the first step and the first half of the second step was says, carry this message to other alcoholics. This message to other alcoholics, right? I gotta carry this message. I try my best not to change the message. Doesn't mean I'm rigid in it. I try to not do a 10-column inventory when I try not to complicate things, right? I try to carry this message the best of my ability to other alcoholics. Perfect. Okay, no more yellow. You can help when no one else can. You can ensure their confidence when others fails. Remember, they are very ill. Grab the pink highlighter, please. The next paragraph is 12-step promises. There's lots in it, but this is like one gathering of the 12-step promises. So highlight all that in pink, please. Very beautiful. Life will take on new meaning. To watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch loneliness vanish, to see a fellowship grow up about you, to have a host of friends. This is an experience you must not miss. We know that you will not want to miss it. Frequent contact with newcomers and with each other is the bright spot of our lives. Notice these are 12-step promises, eh? They weren't given the 11th step. And the 11th step and all before the big book, they didn't say, you watch loneliness vanish. Now you're close to God, you're never going to be alone. They didn't tell me that. That's not my assignment as an alcoholic. I don't believe so. It hasn't been my experience. My loneliness vanishes when I try to help his other kids. And then I experience it. You want to get to know me? Get to know my kids. You want to get to know me? Really? Is that right? You want a deeper experience with me? Here is a difficult situation. Seek me to see how you can help my other kids. Allow this experience to cook you. So I'm going to send you men and women after, and you can share. I had that. Look at what God did for me. Meaning and purpose. 12-step. That's why, see, I'm so like, this is why this workshop, even it's been my first, right? And all the workshops that the intention is this, to help someone pass this message on more effectively, are just beautiful, are powerful, and it has zero to do with the facilitator. Zero. Absolutely zero. It could have been Donald Duck on this end. Absolutely zero. It has to do with the desire to be better servants. And God just brings messages and messengers and the energy. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just beautiful. Okay. So, watch, okay, beautiful, yeah. So, to create a fellowship about you, right? This fellowship about me, the fellowship of the Spirit, by the way, I promise you, this is the last paragraph. I'm gonna go fast after this. This fellowship of the Spirit that we read on page 164. We hope to meet you on the road of happy destiny and the fellowship of the Spirit, whatever they say. Bill says, right? Fellowship of the Spirit. Meetings are essential. It's not in the meetings. I mean, it could be. Not necessarily. It could be. Meetings are essential. No, it could be, but not. Have you guys ever heard there's a club within the club? The fellowship of the Spirit is only experienced and enjoyed by those broken souls in Alcoholics Anonymous that are trying to pass this message on. And then a fellowship grows about you, has grown up around me, of which it is a wonderful thing. Loneliness has vanished. Because let me tell you, I was lonely in a marriage. How do you figure that? Right? Fellowship of the Spirit. Okay, beautiful. I have grown as a husband because of the experiences of trying to pass this message on. I don't know how else to explain this. I don't know how else to put this, you know? I have not grown as a husband by writing 1,000 images, which I have, only, and praying, meditating only. I've grown as a husband, as a father, as a human being, by doing those things in order to be more effective as passing this message on. I don't know how else to put it. The most important thing in Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay. Perhaps you are not acquainted with any drinkers who want to recover. You can easily find some by asking a few doctors, ministers, priests, or hospitals. They will be only too glad to assist you. Don't start out as an evangelist or reformer. Unfortunately, a lot of prejudice exists. You will be handicapped if you arouse it. Ministers and doctors are competent and you can learn much from them if you wish, but it happens that because of your own drinking experience, you can be uniquely useful to other alcoholics, okay? So we're not gonna unpack and give examples of this. Remember, we're just gonna highlight themes. I'm reading for context right now and for themes. So highlighting yellow, please, important. So cooperate, never criticize, to be helpful is our only aim. That's a theme, that's a gem. All that was written for this gem. The entire paragraph was written for this. Ali, cooperate. Don't criticize. Don't criticize doctors and lawyers and other people and religious people, and don't do that. Because to be helpful is our only aim. Okay, flip the page. Page 90. No more yellow. When you discover a prospect for Alcoholics Anonymous, find out all you can about him. Please circle, find out all you can about him in pen. Please and thank you. Find out all you can about him. Find out all you can about him, okay? Please grab the yellow now. After your circle, we're gonna start highlighting yellow, important. If he does not want to stop drinking, don't waste time trying to persuade him. You may spoil a later opportunity. This advice is given for his family also, okay? That's another theme that we're highlighting that makes us effective in trying to pass this message on. We don't chase people. We don't force people. I don't coerce people anymore as much. Okay, we're going to read a little more. No more highlighting. They should be patient, realizing they're dealing with a sick person. If there is any indication that he wants to stop, have a good talk with the person most interested in him, usually his wife. So, by the way, this book, this chapter was written at a time where there were no meetings. They were all private, very few meetings, right? Right? And traditions weren't even in place, right? So very few meetings, most private in people's homes. And a lot of times we would meet people from word of mouth through family members, right? So that's warranted. But these days, I meet people in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, right? Mostly, right? So I'm not gonna, if I haven't met his wife, I'm not gonna now seek out the gentleman's wife and ask about him. That's the worst thing that I could do, right? To create the complete distrust, right? So please, everything in context, right? Of what they're talking. Where's the spirit of me? Okay, where does this book meet me in my experience? But get an idea of his behavior, his problems, his background, the seriousness of his condition, and his religious leaning. Okay, grab the yellow highlighter now. The rest of the paragraph important. You need this information to put yourself in his place to see how you would like him to approach you if the tables were turned. Beautiful. What a gem. Everything in the last two paragraphs were written for that. You want to be effective in this? You want to be effective? Here's a suggestion, okay? So from, you've circled at the top of the page, find out all you can about him. If you can please put a line and an arrow going to the left margin, curving it and bringing it to what we just highlighted. Line and an arrow to what we just highlighted. So, meaning, find out all you can about him. Why? Because you need this information to put yourself in his place, to see how you would like to be approached if the tables were turned. Right? So that's why. There's a general suggestion. Ali, when you meet somebody, start to ask them questions. Find out what you can about him. Why? So I can see how I can be most effective. Ali, don't criticize. Why? Because effectiveness is our aim, not being right. Right? Because I want to see if I had a dad that beat me, whatever, right? Whatever the life situation, if I was a staunch, if I was in a religion that was impressed upon me really rigidly as a child and I rejected that, okay, if I was in his shoes, how would I like to be approached? That's huge, eh? That's huge. That just breaks the bars of rigidity from me. That it must be this way. No. Relax, Ali, pray. God, what's my assignment here? How can I be helpful? Let me find out what I can about it. Okay? It's perfect. Okay, we're gonna read now. Again, we're reading, we're not highlighting much. We're reading for context, and we're going to highlight the themes and the gems, okay? Sometimes it is wise to wait till he goes on a binge. The family may object to this, but unless he's in a dangerous physical condition, it is better to risk it. Don't deal with him when he's very drunk, unless he is ugly and the family needs your help. Wait for the end of his spree, or at least for a lucid interval. Then let his family or a friend ask him if he wants to quit for good, and if you would go to any extreme to do so. If he says yes, his attention run by the family, his attention should be drawn to you as a person who has circled the word recovered. We talked about that early on. I stayed away from the controversy. I just sort of talked about it just very briefly. Recovered. The big book says many times, recovered. We're brought back to health, right? Recovered. Just circle it. You should be described to him as one of the fellowship who, as part of his own recovery, tried to help others and who will be glad to talk to him if he cares to see you. Okay, that's the context.
Then again, Ollie.
Oh man, you lost me again, eh? You guys lost me? Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I turned off your video, Ali. That may make a
Okay,
difference.
how is it now?
Audio's great.
Audio's great? Okay, perfect. Thank God. I don't need to see my face either. Beautiful. The radio face. All right, there we go. Okay. So recovered. Okay. So if he says yes, that his attention should be, thank you, by the way, for letting me know, his attention should be drawn to you as a person who has recovered. You should be described to him as one of a fellowship, and we circled the word recovered. As part of his own recovery, try to help others and who will be glad to talk to him if he cares to see you. Highlight in yellow the next sentence. If he does not want to see you, never force yourself upon him. The spirit of that, where does that mean me? If he doesn't want to see you, don't force yourself. Don't go telling people he doesn't want it. Bad enough. What's the matter with you? I'm talking to me right now, eh? It's like I talked to my older self. Have you guys ever looked back in like how you were with a little bit of like shame? Like not shame as in like, what am I trying to say? Like embarrassment. I'm like embarrassed. That's how. And I know I did the best I could, right? But oh man, oh God, thank God I'm not like that. Okay, so that's it in yellow, okay? Neither should the family hysterically plead with him to do anything, nor should they tell him much about you. They should wait for the end of his next drinking bout. You might place this book where he can see it in the interval. Here, no specific rule can be given. The family must decide these things, but urge them not to be over anxious, for that would spoil matters. We could give examples, unpack this, unnecessary. We're going to move forward, pretty self-explanatory, right? Usually, we're going to keep reading. We're just reading for context. Usually, the family should not try to tell your story. When possible, avoid meeting a man through his family. Approach through a doctor or an institution is a better bet, obviously, right? There's a lot of prejudices and distrust, family members for years and all that kind of stuff. If your man needs hospitalization, he should have it, but not forcibly unless he's violent. Let the doctor, if he will, tell him he has something in the way of a solution. When your man is better, the doctor might suggest a visit from you. Though you have talked with the family, leave them out of the first discussion. Under these conditions, your prospect will see he's under no pressure. He will feel he can deal with you without being nagged by his family. Yellow highlighter. Another theme right there. Here's a gem. Call on him while he's still jittery. Call on him and her, right? Or her. Continue yellow. He may be more receptive when depressed. That's another theme, right? I find out all I can. I bring a spirit of attraction, not promotion. I don't force people that don't want this thing. I stay friendly with them. And the best thing is to wait when someone's a little depressed. After a bender, a little bit low. They're more receptive, like I was. Okay? Perfect. No more yellow. See your man alone if possible. At first, engage in general conversation. After a while, turn the talk to some phase of drinking. In yellow now, important in yellow. Tell him enough about your drinking habits, symptoms, and experiences to encourage him to speak of himself. That's another theme. It's going to continue in this. We're going to highlight a version of this again, another page or so. Okay. So I find out all I can about the person, right? I don't ask them much about their drinking at the very first conversation. Just find out about them a little bit without being intrusive. And then I may ask a little bit about their drinking, right? But the main thing is I start to talk about my drinking. Bill Wilson became effective with Dr. Bob. The language of love started only when Bill Wilson started to talk about his own drinking. At the beginning of that meeting, he started to talk about God and the Oxford Group solutions. Dr. Bob said to him, I wasn't there, but I'm just extrapolating from the little bit that's written for us in our history books and our big book, right? Dr. Bob said to him, what are you talking about, Bill? I've been a part of this Oxford Group for the last 2.5 years, trying to use the exact same solution you're telling me. I haven't been successful. And then Bill remembered what Dr. Sukla told him. Bill, what are you doing? Tell these guys about alcoholism, as I've told you. And then if you see they can relate, then present the solution. Bill started to talk about his drinking. And then Dr. Bob writes in the big book, I think in his story and in some other places in the big book, that the main reason why he was able to use the same solution, the 6 steps of the Oxford Group, that he was trying and failed at for 2.5 years, the same solution, and it worked, was because he saw another man in the flesh, in front of him, that knew about the drinking game, not about the cocaine game, not about the heroin game, not about the Gambleholics Anonymous game, about the drinking game from actual experience. Traditions make us effective. Drinking game. By the way, I'm a cocaine addict and I'm an alcoholic. You never hear me talk about cocaine and Alcoholics Anonymous. When I'm in CA, I do effectiveness. Man, did I just sound preachy there? I'm sorry, guys. I went on the soapbox there. I apologize. I apologize. Oh my God. Okay, no. So what I mean is, the point of that is, tell him about your drinking habits, what we highlighted, symptoms and experiences to encourage him to speak of himself. To encourage him to speak of himself. No more yellow. If he wishes to talk, let him do so. No more yellow. He will thus get a better idea of how you ought to proceed. See, I'm always listening and praying. How can I be most effective? He wants to talk. Okay, let him talk for a little while. Let him talk. It's okay. I don't need to prove a point here. I need to teach him about alcoholism, get him free in this conversation. Take it easy, Abby. Take it easy. You will thus get a better idea of how you ought to proceed. If he's not communicative, give him a sketch of your drinking career up to the time you quit. But say nothing for the moment of how that was accomplished. If he's in a serious mood, dwell on the troubles liquor has caused him. See, I'm mirroring him. Serious stories, right? Being careful not to moralize our lecture, like I just did 10 minutes ago. My apologies again. If his mood is light, tell him humorous stories of your escapades, right? He's light, I mirror that. He's light, I mirror that. He's not laughing and joking. I'm not forcing him to see the deadliness of this illness. So you're not taking it seriously. That doesn't make me effective. That doesn't make me effective. That makes me play God. Okay? I feel like I'm just talking to my old self as I'm talking right now. Get him to tell you some of his. Okay, continue. So we're not highlighting anything. When he sees you know all about the drinking game, commence to describe yourself as an alcoholic. We're going to read another couple of paragraphs with no highlighting. Okay, just stay with me on this one. Tell him how baffled you were, how you finally learned that you were sick. Give him an account of the struggles you made to stop. Show him the mental twist which leads to the first drink of Esprit. We suggest you do this as we've done in the chapter on alcoholism. They're talking about more about alcoholism. If he is alcoholic, he will understand you at once. He will match your mental inconsistencies with some of his own. If you are satisfied that he's a real alcoholic, begin to dwell on the hopeless feature of the malady. Show him from your own experience how the weird mental conditions surrounding that first drink prevents normal functioning of the willpower. Don't at this stage refer to the book unless he has seen it and wishes to discuss it, right? In AA, we all seen the book, right? So where does this meet me today? Let him draw his own conclusions. If he sticks to the idea that he can control his drinking, tell him he possibly can, if he's not too alcoholic, but insist that if he's severely affected, there may be little chance he recover by himself, right? So now, same thing, right? On the theme of I talked about my drinking. I talk about my drinking to demonstrate what alcoholism is, in the hopes that he can match my experiences, he can see himself, he can use my experience as a mirror to see himself, right? So the next paragraph, highlighting yellow, the first 3 sentences, please. Continue to speak of alcoholism as an illness, is a fatal malady. Please grab the pen, circle the word illness. It's an illness. Continue to speak of alcoholism as illness, right? As I'm talking about my drinking, a fatal malady. Continue in yellow. Talk about the conditions of body and mind which accompany it. When you get a chance, please grab the pen, please circle body, please circle mind. It's giving me like clear suggestions on how to go about sharing about my drinking, right? This is how we 12-step people. Okay? Body and mind, circle body, circle mind, which accompany it. Continue in yellow, keep his attention focused mainly on your own personal experience. End of yellow. Please grab the pen. Circle, in one circle, your own personal, your personal experience, your personal experience. Circle that, please, okay? So there's a theme that we're continuing. The theme that we just, from the last page, the theme is, I talk about my drinking. How? I talk about it in a way to demonstrate the physical allergy, body, we circle, then the mental obsession, mind, we circle. I keep the focus on my drinking. That's what until he's ready, he or she's ready to talk about his or her drinking. Okay, perfect. So now, if you please, we're gonna sort of summarize that theme that we've highlighted a few times on the left margin. If you please turn the book clockwise, 90 degrees, so the left margin is facing you. We're going to make use of the entire left margin. Start from the top left, put a bullet point. We're going to write what I have taken 2 full lines that go from the bottom of the page to the top of the page on the left one, okay, 2 full lines. So please write this. Share with prospect. So prospect, in the big book, they talk about prospect, protege. In AA lingo, we talk about sponsee, right? Share with prospect, or we could even like be like, semantics, I guess. You could say, well, prospect potentially is not even a sponsee yet. They're just fine. Okay. Well, we know what we're talking about. Right? So share with prospect about alcoholism. Please write that. Share with prospect about alcoholism. After alcoholism, please put a bracket. Please put mind, comma, body, and a bracket. So after alcoholism, we're going to open brackets up. We're going to put mind, comma, body, and the brackets. Okay, mind, like mind, the mental obsession when I'm sober, I keep going back to it. Body, the physical allergy when I drink, what happens? I keep drinking, right? And the brackets continue by relaying your own experiences, period. And there's one more sentence after this. By relaying your own experiences, period. Okay, so share with prospect about alcoholism, mind, body, by relaying your own experiences. Period. So what that does is that makes it, the big book talks about someplace earlier, it's this stuff is, this step one information, it becomes academic and pointless if I don't share my experience around it. If the person has an experience, it's academic and pointless, right? So by share with prospect about alcoholism, mind, comma, body, in brackets, and then by relaying your own experiences, period. Last sentence, if he/she identifies, comma, if he/she identifies, comma, then speak of the spiritual solution, period. If he/she identifies, comma, then speak of the spiritual solution. Okay, so I only speak of the spiritual solution if the person identifies. Now, how does that meet us in the where we are in AA today? Well, of course, we're talking about God in meetings. A person has heard about God spiritually right off the bat, right? But in my personal one-on-one session with the person, I of course, I don't shy away from the subject of God with tact and common sense. But my focus is trying to see if they can relate somehow. to step one. And then, because if the person doesn't relate, that's why there's 50 something pages of the step one chapters, right? Before we get into any step two stuff. Because if the person doesn't relate to step one, the rest is pointless. God, higher power, whatever. Okay. There's a lot of debate and arguments, right? Okay. So if he, she identifies karma, then speak of the spiritual solution, period. Okay. Very good. Okay. So that's done. We're going back to the big book. We're just going to continue from where we left off highlighting. Okay. So explain, no more highlighting. Explain that many are doomed who never realize their predicament. Doctors are rightly loath to tell alcoholic patients the whole story unless it will serve some good purpose. But you may talk to him about the hopelessness of alcoholism because you offer a solution. You will soon have your friend admitting he has many, if not all, of the traits of the alcoholic. If his own doctor is willing to tell him that he's alcoholic, so much the better. Even though your protege may not have entirely admitted his condition, he has become very curious to know how you got well. Okay, grab the yellow highlighter now, please. We're going to highlight the rest of the paragraph in yellow, important. Let him ask you that question, if you will. Tell him exactly what happened to you. All in yellow. The spiritual feature, stress the spiritual feature freely. If the man be agnostic or atheist, make it emphatic that he does not have to agree with your conception of God. He can choose any conception he likes, provided it makes sense to him. The main thing is that he be willing to believe in a power greater than himself and that he live by spiritual principles, right? So the spiritual feature is really the spiritual, this program is a spiritual program, but I stress the spirituality of this program and God, and once the step one stuff is done, mainly, you know? And this doesn't mean that, okay, rigidity is the prison in which I die in, right? God will provide the assignment exactly what it is. So these are just general principles. Okay, no more highlighting. When dealing with such a person, you had better use everyday language to describe spiritual principles. There is no use arousing any prejudice he may have against certain theological terms and conceptions about which he may already be confused. In yellow, here's another theme, continuation, another theme. In yellow, don't raise such issues no matter what your own convictions are. Don't raise such issues no matter what your own convictions are. That's in yellow, okay? They're going to tell me why not to do that. Okay? Your prospect may belong to a religious denomination. We have some friends in this call, actually, in this Zoom meeting that belong to religious denominations or ordained in them. His religious education and training may be far superior to yours. In that case, he's going to wonder how you can add anything to what she already knows. But he will be curious to learn why his own convictions have not worked and yours seem to work so well. He may be an example of the truth that, here's a gem right here, man. Grab the yellow highlighter, please. Faith alone is insufficient. Okay, let's highlight the next sentence. To be vital, faith must be accompanied by self-sacrifice and unselfish constructive action. That's in yellow. You may say to yourself, well, the faith that I belong in, we do a lot of unselfish constructive action, soup kitchens and buying groceries for people that can't afford it and feeding the homeless, right? All beautiful things that one should do if they're called to, and you know, we all, I think, should do it, right? But it seems to be that alone is insufficient for alcoholics to stay sober. Okay, so from the yellow, please put an arrow, we just highlight in yellow, right? That faith alone is insufficient to be vital. Faith must be accompanied by self-sacrifice and unselfish constructive action. Please put a little line and an arrow to the right margin. Turn the book counterclockwise. You're going to write along the long ways along the right margin on the span of that paragraph, I guess. Please write this. What they're talking about in this book, what sets Alcoholics Anonymous apart from every other religion and spiritual path in the sense that it really works for alcoholics, faith, self-sacrifice and constructive action, they're talking about this. Ready? 12 steps, please write this, 12 steps as a design for living. 12 steps as a design for living. Now, more specifically, we could say the 12th step. That's constructive action for others and practicing principles in our affairs, trying to pass this message on to others. But let's just cast a really wide umbrella, really broad and roomy. These 12 steps are designed for living. They seem to provide for me a set of actions which I can be unselfish and very effective and constructive in adding to other people's lives in such a way that keeps me sober, that nothing else seemed to. Nothing else seemed to. Passing this message on, working with others. Okay, perfect. So no more yellow. Let's go back. Let him see that you are not here to instruct him in religion. Admit that he probably knows more about it than you do, but call to his attention the fact that however deep his faith and knowledge, he could not have applied it or he would not drink. Perhaps your story will help him see where he has failed to practice the very precepts he knows so well. We represent no particular faith or denomination. We are dealing only with general principles common to most denominations. Okay? Well, I think we talked about that last week, right? We have mullahs and rabbis and priests and nuns and spiritual teachers and leading ashrams and 10-day silent meditation and Alcoholics Anonymous for this very reason, because it works. Because it works. The 12 steps of Zion for living. Okay. Highlighting yellow, the next paragraph, please. Highlighting yellow. Important. Outline the program of action, explaining how you have made a self-appraisal, how you straighten out your past, and why you are now endeavoring to be helpful to him. Continue in yellow. It is important for him to realize that your attempt to pass this on to him plays a vital part in your own recovery. Beautiful theme right there. Beautiful suggestion right there, right? All that in yellow. So from the yellow, please put a little line and arrow to the left margin. Turn the book clockwise so the left margin is facing you. Just write long ways. I'm going to write maybe a couple of lines there. Please write this. Spend time outlining the 12 steps. That's the first sentence, period. Spend time outlining the 12 steps. Okay, please write that. So basically, when I meet somebody and I have a conversation with them, I have coffee with them, I learn all that I can about them and I talk about my drinking and they start to relate a little bit. I'm like satisfied enough that they may at least potentially be one of us, right? That's good enough, right? Right? And then what I do is I outline the 12 steps for them. I don't want to coerce somebody and manipulate somebody. At that point in time, I don't want to, I'm just going to not say the word God at all. And then just surprise them halfway through the steps. I'm not going to do that, right? So what I got to be honest. Anything that's built on a foundation of honesty has a chance to grow. Anything that's built on a foundation of truth and manipulation will crumble, right? So I spend some time, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, outlining the 12 steps in a very general way. Okay, so then do you want what I have? Do you want to stay sober? I can sponsor you. I can take you through the 12 steps. Okay, perfect. Let me tell you a little about the 12 steps. See if you want to even do them. Okay. And I go and tell them a little bit. At some point, we're going to learn about what alcoholism is. And at some point, we're going to write some inventories and people that you hated. And at some point, you got to try really hard to look at what your mistakes are. Do you owe money? Yes, I do. Well, when we get to that step, you're going to have to start paying it back. If you harm people, if it's revealed to you out of this path that you've harmed people, you're going to have to have a desire to start to set right the harm. And eventually we're going to have to build a prayer meditative life. Eventually you're going to have to tap into a power greater than yourself and build a relationship with that power through prayer and meditation. And at some point, you're going to have to pass it on, just like I'm passing on to you to someone else so they don't die. Are you willing to do that? Are you sure? I don't self-sell it. It's important to be honest right off the bat, It's important for the person to have a desire themselves not through my manipulations and coercion, try to get him in the program halfway through the steps, because they'll leave anyways. They'll leave anyways, if I'm not honest, right? Okay, so please, the second sentence is, so the first sentence was that we wrote, spend time outlining 12 steps. The second sentence below that, if you want, do not soft sell this program. Do not soft sell this program. Do not soft dash sell this program. Everyone can hear me? I see some puzzled faces. Yeah? Okay, soft sell. What that means, I'm not going to hard sell it either. You have to get a relationship with God or die. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. But I'm not going to soft sell it. I'm going to be honest about what it is. You have to want this thing. This is not for everybody. It's not for everybody. If it was for everybody, everybody would be jumping for joy and sober. We would have such a better world today. It's not for everybody. It's not for me to decide who is for. It's for God to decide. Excuse me. Okay. Perfect. Okay, let's go back to the big book. Okay. So we finished highlighting. The last sentence we highlighted in yellow was, it is important for him to realize, for him or her to realize, that your attempt to pass this on to him plays a vital role in your recovery. I always try to say that. It really humbles me that esponsee is not my agenda to keep sober. That's not my agenda anymore. I seem to be more effective. I seem to enjoy life and Alcoholics Anonymous a lot more when I don't have that as an agenda. Esponsee or protege is a gift from God for me to stay sober, for me to be present to the beauty of this life as a result of just trying to be of service to another alcoholic. Okay, so actually, what they say, that we're not highlighting now, actually, he may be helping you more than you are helping him. Make it plain he is under no obligation to you, that you hope only that he will try to help other alcoholics when he escapes his own difficulties. Highlight in yellow, please. Suggest how important, in yellow, suggest how important it is that he place the welfare of other people ahead of his own. Important. Okay? Important. And on the previous point, I'm like, I try always to like, yeah, you have no obligation to me. You should know that by me trying to help you, it's like universe gave me a gift. As this is the way this program works. And me trying to help you, I get to stay sober and live a beautiful life. So there is some self-interest in it. It really is. You know, they know I'm under no obligation. You're beautiful. Okay, so let's go back to this. Make it clear that he's not under pressure, that he needn't see you again if he doesn't want to. You should not be offended if he wants to call it off, for he has helped you more than he has helped them. How true that is. And we can all give thousands of examples for that. If your talk has been sane, quiet, and full of human understanding, you have perhaps made a friend. Maybe you have disturbed him about the question of alcoholism. This is all to the good, okay? It's all to the good if I disturb somebody, not you understand what they're talking about the question of alcoholism, about the drinking, the powerlessness of it, right? What it really means to be an alcoholic. Highlight in yellow, again, repetition of this theme. The more hopeless he feels, the better. Continue in yellow, he will more likely to follow your suggestions. The more hopeless he feels, the better. He will be more likely to follow your suggestions. No more yellow. That's the last yellow. Your candidate will give reasons why he need not follow all the program. He may rebel at the thought of a drastic house cleaning, which requires discussion with other people. Do not contradict such views. See, this tells me you have to do an inventory or die. No, it doesn't say don't do that, Ali. Do not contradict his views. Tell him you once felt as he does, but you doubt whether you would have made such much progress if had you not taken action. On your first visit, tell him about the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. If he shows interest, I'm going to just copy this book. Again, this was at a time where people weren't going to meetings, but we see that where this meets us, right? Unless your friend wants to talk further about himself, do not wear out your welcome. Give him a chance to think it over. If you do stay, let him steer the conversation in any direction he likes. Sometimes a new man is anxious to proceed at once, and you may be tempted to let him do so. This is sometimes a mistake. If he has trouble later, he's likely to say, you rushed him. I'm always praying, God, is this my assignment? What do you want me to do here, God? It's my assignment? Maybe the assignment is, no, not start with him right now. He's way too anxious. I don't know, right? So I'm not pushing and prodding, right? Highlight in yellow, the rest of the paragraph, very important, please. You will be most successful with alcoholics if you do not exhibit any passion of crusade or reform. This doesn't mean we don't have enthusiasm. We really do. Some of us more enthusiastic than others. All good. Everyone's been given a different assignment, right? Enthusiasm is beautiful. But when I used to exhibit a passion for crusade or reform, I wanted to kill off everybody that had a different point of view than me, that didn't do it my way, or my timeline. I'm not going to be successful with anybody on that, right? Continue in yellow. Never talk down to an alcoholic from any moral or spiritual hilltop. Simply lay out the kit of spiritual tools for his or her inspection. Show him how they worked with you. All beautiful gems, all in yellow, eh? Offer him, her, friendship and fellowship. Tell him if he wants to get well, you do anything to help. There was a period when I was a big book in hand, had an incredible experience with this big book early on. And it was almost like in hindsight, it was like a drive-through of sponsorship. You know, like McDonald's drive-through, right? Booking appointments, appointing coffee shops, just drive-through, take it, highlight it, highlight, do this, do that, take it, highlight, right? And very little friendship, very little being in someone else's life. And I found that when I was doing that, I started to get spiritually sick. It became really mechanical. The words in this book became a prison in which my spirit was literally dying in. And I felt like a fraud because I'm like, what's happening? I'm passing this message on. I've had incredible experiences. I'm missing something. 3-part program: unity, recovery, service, right? I missed the boat on the unity part, man. Like, you know, fellowship of the Spirit, these guys early on, you know, when they were in each other's lives, they were working the steps, however they were doing at that time, right? They were working the steps, but they were helping each other in each other's lives and funerals and weddings, and you know what I mean? Helping each other get jobs and fellowship of the Spirit. This program better stop being a theory. I gotta live it. And then life takes on a new meaning. So this is huge, you know what I mean? I found that when I was at McDonald's drive-through of big book sponsorship, they used to call it, right? My walk became really shallow. And at times it was like as if I was serving this beautiful, delicious spiritual meal in the back of a garbage can led to people. But when I start to offer them friendship and really be interested in people's lives and kindness and more humility and less rigidity and God, what's my assignment? And oh my God, thank you. Look what he's teaching me. And all of a sudden, it's just like this beautiful spiritual meal. We both start to dine on a very elegant, clean dish together rather than me serving it to somebody. I don't know, that was important to me, that revelation. I don't know what that meant for you when I just shared. I don't even know if it made sense, any of that. That was important to me. Knowledge is not enough. Knowledge is not enough. If he's not interested in your solution, if you expect to, by the way, I'm just amazed because this session I've just been reading. We have 180 people, nobody is left of somebody just reading. There's some power in this path, in this book. Somebody just reading. Okay, if he is not interested in your solution, if he expects you to act only as a banker for his financial difficulties or a nurse for his sprees, you may have to drop him until he changes his mind. This he may do after he gets hurt some more. If he is, so we're not going to, this is setting us up for a theme we're going to highlight, right? If he is sincerely interested and wants to see you again, ask him to read this book in the interval. After doing that, he must decide for himself whether he wants to go on. He should not be pushed or prodded by you, his wife, or his friends. Highlighting yellow, important. If he is to find God, the desire must come from within. See, that's why I ready to push, prod, lie, manipulate, just totally honest, lay out the spiritual tools. Because if he's to find God or she's to find God, the desire must come from within anyways. I have nothing to do with that anyways. Circle the word must in that, please. Must come from within. There's many musts in this big book. We say as a joke. With the spirit of attraction and spirit of suggestion, right? Many musts in this book. Okay. You know the part where it says, again, when it doesn't tell them to read this book in the interval, again, if it fits the situation, right? These are like a lot of people, if you ask them to go read this book and come back, they'll never finish reading it. You know? So it's just where the spirit, right? Whatever the spirit guides you. Again, we're not going to be literal with anything. This book, like all spiritual books, has deep spiritual truths that are beyond the literal, that are beyond the cognitive mind. Okay, is where does it meet me? Okay, if he thinks he can do the job in some other way or prefer some other spiritual approach, encourage him to follow his own conscience. I love this part. I love this part. Okay, highlighting yellow now, important. We have no monopoly on God. My staunch big boogers. We have no monopoly on God. Continue highlighting yellow. We merely have an approach that works with us. That's it. That's it. We have no monopoly on God, Alcoholics Anonymous. Not this. In fact, our program has been distilled from thousands of years of spiritual teachings through different paths and different religions. It's distilled in a way that we can digest in this 2-inch book that becomes thousands of kilometers deep when I pour my experience on it. I got to stay humble to that. I got no monopoly on God. You want to try religion? You don't want to try this? God bless you. But let's just stay friendly, okay? Beautiful. Okay. Guess what, by the way? Many of us, I'm talking about me, when this book became a treasure map, not the treasure map, while keeping the big book and the 12 steps as a foundation, as my oxygen to breathe. I think in the last session we talked about this. I go to religious people and other spiritual people for an expansion of my God consciousness that are not alcoholics. So we have no monopoly on God. I certainly don't. Okay. Okay, perfect. We highlighted that. We have no monopoly on God. We merely have an approach that works with us. No more yellow highlighting, but point out that we alcoholics have much in common and that you would like in any case to be friendly. Let it go on that. Okay, one more page, and I just want some sharing at the end. Okay, do not be discouraged because I want to cover what we covered the next session. We're going to cover everything we need to cover, and we're going to have more time for sharing. Do not be discouraged if no yellow, no highlighting. Do not be discouraged if your prospect does not respond at once. Search out another alcoholic and try again. You are sure to find someone desperate enough to accept with eagerness what you offer. Highlighting yellow now, very important. We find it a waste of time, they say to us. Still seems to be true in yellow. We find it a waste of time to keep chasing a man, woman, who cannot or will not work with you. Waste of time. Not in this way, waste of time like I used to do. You just don't want it bad enough. I'm not going to waste my time with you. That was shameful, man. Wow, that was such a shameful period in my life. Or tell other people, he just doesn't want it bad enough. That's why he keeps going out. Wow, that's shameful. Way to be. Okay, so but in this, we find it a waste of time to keep him chasing a man who cannot work or will not work with you. It's just I won't chase them, right? In yellow, continue. If you leave such a person alone, he may soon become convinced that he cannot recover by himself. He's got to see it, not me. Continue in yellow. To spend too much time with any one situation is to deny some other alcoholic an opportunity to live and be happy. Okay, end of highlight. See, let them be happy. Whether cannot or will not. Either there cannot or there will not. None of my business. I just see that it's not working. As kindly as I can, I just stop chasing. I stay friendly. I go to meetings if I have to. I answer calls definitely, most of the time, right? Because I gotta leave the spiritual space open for God to send me other people. Because if I keep chasing somebody who's not ready, they're gonna become resentful. They're gonna push back. I'm gonna ruin another opportunity. It becomes about me and my ideas and me playing God, rather than what's best for them. Right? What's best for them. Okay, perfect. No more yellow. One of our fellowship failed entirely in his first half dozen prospects. He often says that if he had continued to work on them, he might have deprived many others who have since recovered their chance. We're going to continue. No yellow. Suppose you are making your second visit to a man. He has read this volume and says he's prepared to go through with the 12 steps of the program of recovery. Having had this experience yourself, you can give him much practical experience. Let him know if you're available. Let him know you are available if he wishes to make a decision and tell his story, but do not insist upon it if he prefers to consult someone else. See, we didn't highlight it because we have already highlighted that. See, we don't insist, we don't insist, we don't push. He may be broke and homeless. So I like this part. Let's cover this part and then he may be broke and homeless. If he is, you might try to help him about getting a job or give him a little financial assistance, but you should not deprive your family or creditors of money they should have. Perhaps you will want to take the man into your home for a few days, but be sure you use discretion. Be certain he will be welcomed by your family and that he is not trying to impose upon you for money, connection, and shelter. Again, each situation is different. Prayer, meditation, consultation with everybody that may be affected. These days, thank God, a lot of shelters, a lot of detoxes, a lot of stuff. I wouldn't put my family in danger of that, but it may be a situation that may be one. Okay? Highlighting yellow, please. The point is this, though. The point is this. Highlighting yellow. Permit that, and you only harm him. At the bottom of the page 96, permit that you only harm him. Continuing yellow. You will be making it possible for him to be insincere. Continuing yellow. You may be aiding in his destruction rather than his recovery. You may be aiding in his destruction rather than his recovery. All in yellow, okay? We're going to keep reading. This is going to explain and unpack for us now, okay? No, don't highlight anymore. Never avoid these responsibilities, but be sure you are doing the right thing if you assume them. Highlighting yellow, important. Helping others is the foundation stone of your recovery. Helping others is the foundation stone of your recovery. Okay, remember certain yellow highlights, I put asterisks or stars on either side of the column. They're just super important on this theme here. Please do that with this one. Asterisk on the right column, asterisk on the left column, because helping others is the foundation stone of my recovery. Okay, no more yellow. Let's see what it says. A kindly act once in a while isn't enough. You have to act the Good Samaritan every day if need be. It may be the loss of many nights' sleep, great interference with your pleasures, interruptions to your business. It may mean sharing your money and your home, counseling frantic wives and relatives, innumerable trips to police courts, sanitariums, hospitals, jails, and asylums. Your telephone may jangle at any time of the day or night. Your wife may sometimes say she's neglected. A drunk may smash the furniture in your home or burn a mattress. These are all experiences that those guys had, and some of us still have. You may have to fight with him if he is violent. Sometimes you have to call the doctor and administer sedative under his direction. And another time, you may have to send for the police or an ambulance. Occasionally, you will have to meet these conditions, okay? Such conditions. So please turn the book counterclockwise so the right margin is facing you. Along the span of this paragraph, we're going to write this, please. You may write 2 lines if you want, okay? I'm going to read the whole thing so you see how much space, not much. We must help others even when inconvenient for us, period. That's it. Okay? So we're summarizing what that paragraph is saying. We must help others even when inconvenient for us. I believe that's the spiritual gem in this paragraph and everything it's saying, right? I may not give people sedatives these days from a doctor's direction or whatever, fight with them, right? But the point of that is that kindly act once in a while isn't enough to make me feel good. I gotta be willing and ready to help others, even when it's inconvenient for me. What does that look like for you, Ali? Looks different for everybody. Looks different for everybody, but that doesn't mean that if somebody doesn't want to pick up the phone at 2 a.m. because they got a young family that they're not working. No, I never pick up the phone. In fact, I ask people, please don't call me after 10 p.m. at night. If you're in that much danger, 911. Prayer first, 911, other alcoholics. I have a young family. Right? I don't say it that way. I'm just joking about, but I let them know, right? So for me, it looks differently, right? A lot of different ways. For you, it may look differently, but the point is that I got to be willing and ready to help others even when inconvenient for me, because helping others is the foundation stone of my recovery. Okay? We seldom allow an alcoholic to live in our homes for long at a time. It is not good for him, and it sometimes creates a serious complication in family. Though an alcoholic does not respond, there's no reason why you should neglect his family. If I've met him through the family, and if I build a relationship with the family, that is, you should continue to be friendly to them. The family should be offered your way of life. Should they accept and practice spiritual principles, there's a much better chance that the head of the family will recover. And even though he continues to drink, the family will find life more bearable. Okay, let's continue reading. We're almost there. For the type of alcoholic who's able and willing to get well, little charity in the ordinary sense of the word is needed or wanted. Okay, so now notice again, we're not unpacking, we're not highlighting, we're highlighting only the themes of this program. When I'm going one-on-one with a gentleman, just the themes, I'm talking about the themes. If something comes to my heart experience, I may share, because we're going to keep referring to these pages as the person is sponsoring people. And situations come, we're going to keep referring to these pages, right? So I don't need to memorize or unpack anything intellectually. Highlighting yellow, please. The men, important, the men who cry for money and shelter before conquering alcohol are on the wrong track. Are on the wrong track. Okay, no more yellow. Yeah, we go to great extremes to provide each other with these very things when such action is warranted. This may seem inconsistent, but it's not. Like I used to come get a little bit of relief in AA and then think, okay, I just need love in my life, and start chasing love, start chasing school, start chasing accolade. No, wrong track, Ali. By the way, these spiritual truths meet me today, and the drink question has been taken away for a few years. So if at any time I'm having trouble in my life and I think that I need to conquer finances or love before being at peace, I'm on the wrong track too. Because in every situation, it seems to be that when the spiritual malady is overcome, I strain out physically and mentally every single time. It doesn't fail. Okay, so let's keep going. Highlighting yellow. It is not the matter of, we have 1 minute left, we're going to use it. So I'm going to stay for an hour on this computer for any sharing, for any questions. Next week, we're going to maybe 30 minutes of big book stuff. We're going to finish, and the rest of it is going to be sharing from people who have experience now doing what we're doing in this workshop and passing it on. Okay. So highlighting yellow, it is not the matter of giving that is in question, but when and how to give. That's in yellow. When and how to give, not the matter of giving. When and how to give. No more highlight. That often makes a difference between failure and success. Okay, highlighting yellow now. The minute we put our work on a service plane, the alcoholic commences to rely upon our assistance rather than upon God. That's in yellow. We may need to stay an extra minute. Please stay. At the end of this paragraph, we just need, okay, please, if you don't mind. So highlighting yellow, the minute we put our work on a service plane, that the alcoholic commences to rely upon our assistance rather than upon God. So in this service, in this context, they're talking about my human service. Like I'm always buying cigarettes for a new alcoholic, always buying them bus passes, always paying their rent, always buying them groceries, right? There's a time and place for that. The minute you start doing that too much, they're going to rely upon you rather than upon God. But that doesn't mean we don't do that at times. Of course we do, right? Of course. Okay. So no more yellow. He clamors for this and that, claiming he cannot master alcohol until his needs are cared for. His material needs are cared for. Nonsense. Some of us have taken very hard knocks to learn this truth, okay? The last highlight of today, the rest of the paragraph, here's the truth. Beautiful. Job or no job is all in yellow. Wife or no wife. We simply do not stop drinking so long as we place dependence upon other people ahead of dependence upon God. Ahead of dependence upon God. Okay, one more small paragraph. I like one more small paragraph. See, it's a small one. That's in yellow. Okay, no more yellow. No more yellow. Burn the idea into the consciousness of every man that he can get well regardless of anyone. Last sentence in yellow. What a beautiful truth. The only condition is that he trusts God and clean house. Trust God, clean house. And that's the yellow highlight.